The Kethvar had ruled the Outer Rim territories for 3 millennia, their massive forms standing 12 feet tall with razor-sharp claws and bioluminescent war patterns across their scaled hide, struck terror into every species they encountered. The galaxy knew them as apex predators, unstoppable forces of nature that conquered worlds with the same casual efficiency that lesser beings swatted insects. Commander Zarathek had never questioned this natural order. Why would she? Her people were perfection incarnate, engineered by evolution to dominate, to hunt, to kill. Their homeworld of Keth Prime was a death world where only the strongest survived, where cubs learned to tear flesh before they could properly walk, where mercy was a concept as foreign as weakness. So when the distress beacon let her strike, team to the crashed human vessel on the abandoned moon of Xerion 7, she expected easy prey. Humans were new to the galactic stage, soft, weak creatures from a moderate world who somehow managed to stumble into space travel. The intelligence reports described them as social pack animals, prone to emotional instability and lacking the proper killing instincts of a true predator species. The crashed ship lay in a crater surrounded by the twisted remains of what had once been a small research outpost. Thermal scans showed a single life sign in the wreckage. One human, alone, injured. Pathetic, snarled Subcommander Vektar, his bioluminescent patterns flickering with disdain. Should we even bother? There's no honor in killing something so weak. But Zarathek's tactical mind saw opportunity. A live human captive could provide valuable intelligence about their species' capabilities, their weaknesses, their fears. She ordered her team to investigate. They found him in what remained of the medical bay, hunched over a makeshift incubator cobbled together from ship components and emergency power cells. The human looked exactly as the reports described. Small, fragile, covered in that strange, flexible skin instead of proper scales or chitin. His leg was clearly broken, hastily splinted with debris. Blood matted his hair. He should have been cowering, begging for mercy. Instead, he looked up at the towering Kethvar warriors with defiant eyes and positioned himself between them and the incubator. "Stay back," Dr. Marcus Chen said quietly, his voice steady despite the pain. "They're just babies." Zarathek stepped closer, curious despite herself. Inside the jury-rigged incubator, barely visible through the condensation, were 3 small forms. Not human babies. She knew what those looked like from their intelligence files. These were something else entirely. Kethvar cubs. The commander's world tilted. Cubs were sacred. Cubs were everything. In 3,000 years of Kethvar civilization, no enemy had ever harmed their young and lived. The protective instinct was so deeply ingrained in their species that even the sight of threatened cubs triggered an uncontrollable rage response. But these cubs weren't threatened. They were sleeping peacefully, their tiny bioluminescent patterns dim and content. Their breathing was steady, their small bodies warm and healthy. "I found them in the research station," the human continued, somehow interpreting her confusion. "The attack that brought down our ship, it destroyed their nursery, their parents." He gestured weakly toward the crater beyond the wreckage. "I'm sorry for your loss." Vektar raised his plasma rifle, his patterns flashing with killing intent. "Human lies, no species cares for young not their own." "Stand down," Zarathek commanded, her voice carrying an authority that brooked no argument. Something unprecedented was happening here, something that challenged everything she thought. She knew about the universe. "I've been monitoring their vital signs," Dr. Chen said, adjusting something on the incubator with trembling hands. "They were dehydrated when I found them, hypothermic. The power won't last much longer, but I've done what I can." The commander stared at the small figure hunched protectively over her people's most precious treasures. This human was dying. She could smell infection in his wounds, could see the fever in his eyes. Yet he had spent what might be his final hours not treating his own injuries, but caring for enemy young. Why? The question escaped her before she could stop it. Dr. Chen looked up, and for the first time she saw the exhaustion in his face. "They're babies," he said simply, as if that explained everything. They were scared and alone and cold. What else would I do? The other Kethvar warriors shifted uncomfortably. In their culture, strength was everything. Weakness was death. But this small, broken human had shown a strength they didn't recognize. A strength that had nothing to do with claws or fangs or the ability to kill. Zarathek made a decision that would echo across the galaxy. "Medical team to the surface," she commanded through her comm. "Emergency evacuation for 4 casualties. 1 human, 3 cubs." "Commander." Vektar's patterns flickered with confusion. "The human comes with us," she said firmly. "He has proven himself worthy of protection." As her medical team arrived and began stabilizing both the human and the cubs, Zarathek found herself studying this strange species with new eyes. Perhaps the intelligence reports had been wrong. Perhaps humans weren't weak at all. Perhaps they possessed a different kind of strength, one that could turn natural enemies into protectors, one that could see past species and politics to the simple truth that some things were worth preserving. The cubs would live. The human would recover. And somewhere in the depths of space, the Kethvar would have to reconsider everything they thought they knew about strength, about weakness, and about what it truly meant to be powerful. In the medical bay of her ship, watching human doctors work alongside Kethvar medics to tend to patients from both species, Commander Zarathek began to understand why the galaxy's smaller species spoke of humans not with fear, but with something. Approaching reverence, they called it humanity, and for the first time in her life she was beginning to understand what that meant.